Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name's Preston and welcome back to the news. And oh boy, do we got just so much to talk about. Tons of new cards revealed, tons of alt arts revealed. There's just a lot to talk about, so I'm going to stop yapping about random stuff like that and actually start talking about the stuff that we're here to talk about. We're moving over to Twitter and we're going to talk about all of these cards that came out this week. Tons of them, tons of cards. Alright, first one up here, we have Jewelry Bonney, yellow character, 3 cost 4k power, 1k counter, Supernova Bonney Pirates. Blocker, on play, add the top or bottom card of your life to your hand. You may place up to 1 cost 5 or lower Supernova type character card from your hand to the top of your life face up. I've said it before, I'll say it again, yellow confuses me. But this card, specifically for Supernovas, makes a lot more sense. You're going to pick up a card from your life that you don't want there anymore. You probably already looked at it because that's what yellow does. You pick up that card, you place a card you want there face up. Makes a lot of sense. You can always flip that card face down and do stuff to flip it back up. A lot of stuff we can do with this card. I like it a lot. I think that the more yellow gets the same exact things for different types, we're going to need to get more specific. That's why this is a Supernova specific one. If all of these were too general, and I think at some point there's going to be enough cards that are general and don't have this specification on what type that you can affect with their effects, we're going to end up with a really crazy deck that does really cool stuff that everyone's going to be really upset about. But that's what yellow does, and at some point all colors are going to get to that point, but yellow is the most scary because it's life manipulation. Moving on, because we have so much to talk about. Enel, green character, 5 cost 6k power, 1k counter, Odyssey Sky Island. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand. Yes please, we love to draw cards. That is my favorite part of any card game, is draw a bunch, do stuff. It's so good to be able to see new cards into your hand. You're seeing 3 new cards from the top of your deck and getting rid of 2 cards that are no longer useful and will have better use in the trash depending on what you're playing. This fits the Odyssey archetype well with having 2 or more rested characters as its condition to be used, and I like it a lot. I think we're getting good support for Odyssey. Still don't think it is going anywhere, but maybe this is enough. Maybe with a few sets, we'll have enough to actually do something with the Odyssey deck. Moving on to Viola, purple character, 3 cost 4k power, Don Quixote Pirates. Blocker, on KO, Don -1 if you're leader. Leader's type includes Don Quixote Pirates. Add up to 1 purple event card from your trash to your hand. This is fitting what we've seen already for purple. Purple is having stuff happen, at least for this Don Quixote Pirates. It's having stuff happen and getting events back. So start looking at your purple events that you're going to want to play in this deck. I know that we had a couple really good ones come out recently, and I think it was OP10 for Emperors had some really good Luffy events that people are playing. Look back even further, I'm sure there's some really good purple events that you're going to want to look at, that you're going to want to play multiple times. And I'm expecting for people to lean towards counters, because that's a card that I would want to play multiple times, but we'll have to see if there's some really good activate main purple events that we're going to want to abuse. And I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with this Don Quixote deck, especially because you can do it with Doflamingo or Sugar, and I really like Doflamingo's effect of restanding Don, so we'll have to see what happens there. Moving on to our next card. Caesar's Soldiers, red character, 3 cost 4k power, 1k counter, Punk Hazard. On play, play up to 1 Punk Hazard type card with a cost of 2 or less from your hand. That's pretty cool. I love spam. I love spamming out characters. I love the idea that you're going to have stuff that you're going to want to play off of this, lets you lean towards like what we did with Zoro early on with weenies, low cost characters that you can make do cool stuff. We'll have to see if we get anything useful for this to play. But for 3 costs, getting 5 cost worth of character on board, I think that's pretty good because this can also become an attacker the next turn with 4,000 base power. Very easy to make it an attacker the next turn. Quite excited to see if Punk Hazard actually becomes a thing or not. Moving on to our next card. Liberation, 6 costs, Black Event, Blackbeard Pirates. Main. If you have 2 or more characters less than your opponent, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 6 or less, and one with an original cost of 4 or less. Trigger. Choose up to one of your opponent's leaders and characters negate its effect for this turn. Okay, Blackbeard Pirates. Wild. So if you have 2 or less characters, you're basically you're equalizing the field by getting rid of a 6 or less and a 4 or less, which is quite, I feel like that's quite crazy. Getting rid of 10 Dawn worth of cost cards on the field. And it's original cost, so you can't do any cost manipulation with black like it's used to doing. Yeah, I like it. 6 cost is quite expensive, but we might find a good place for this. And then trigger being able to negate effects, 2 effects up to one of your opponent's leaders and characters. That's pretty great. It's a great trigger to have. Moving on to our next card. There's a lot of ellipses here. I'm just going to read it through. Follow me and I will guide you. With a lot of ellipses. Follow me. It's got Usopp. Follow me and I will guide you. Blue event, 1 cost, Dressrosa Straw Hat Crew. Main. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type character card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Trigger. Activate this card's main effect. I want to continue to get God Usopp cards. I hope we get plenty more in this set. We got a smidge of it in the first one where he was at the bottom of the card for is it Hydrogen? I can't say that guy's name. The giant. Now we're getting the actual moment where Usopp ascends. I don't know how many more times we're going to get a opportunity to get this panel and a proclaimed God Usopp, but I have to talk about the panel and what it's actually happening here and not the card because it's just a searcher. Search. Depending on the archetype, you actually end up playing the searchers. Some do, some don't. Yeah. It's a top 5 searcher event for Dressrosa. Interesting. Moving on to Mocha. Red character, 3 cost, 3k power, 2k counter, Punk Hazard. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 power during this turn. A 2k counter, really nice for Punk Hazard. I don't think I've seen the Punk Hazard Searcher yet, so I'm looking forward to that because I think that opens up a really, really strong deck. But for minus 1,000 power for 3 cost and a 2k counter, I think this finds play unless there is a just overall better Straw Hat Punk Hazard deck with multiple searchers, which is much more likely to happen, and then this card doesn't need to get played because there's better 2k counters in my opinion. Yeah, but it's a 2k counter, so if Punk Hazard has nothing else, then that's what it's going to get. Moving on to Kozuki Momonosuke. Green character, 1 cost, 1k power, 1k counter. Punk Hazard, Land of Wano, Kozuki Clan. Activate main. You may rest 2 of your Dawn and place this character into your trash. Wild. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 2 cards with 9 red scabbards type and put them into your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. I think that's a pretty high cost for a search, but you are getting 2 cards out of it. So you play it for 1. You have to rest 2 Dawn to activate it, and he goes away forever, which is pretty significant to have a chance of grabbing up to 2 character cards. Actually, it's any type, I think. There's 2 cards. So if that translation is correct, you can get events as well. I don't know. I also don't know what Land of Wano or that type of leader is being played right now. Maybe they're just throwing some stuff in, trying to boost up something. There's a couple leaders that might be able to play this, but very interesting. 2 cards off the top 5 is a pretty significant search. I think its cost is a little high, even for 2 cards. That's probably a bad opinion. Yeah, okay. Bad Opinion's a good card, but I don't know. I don't know if we're playing it. I don't know why we would play it, but I can't say drawing 1 card in a different effect is good, and drawing 2 cards here is a bad effect, even though it's 3 cost. Yeah, I like it. I've come to the conclusion I like this card. Okay, moving on. Hack, blue character, 4 cost 5k power, 1k counter. Fishman, Dressrosa, Revolutionary Army. Dawn ×1, when attacking, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Revolutionary Army type card, and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So an on attack, or when attacking, searcher that's attacking at 6k is quite nice. I don't know where this goes because I'm pretty sure all Revolutionary Army has been red or yellow. So I'm assuming we will bolster blue Revolutionary Army in the next few sets, and this will have a place. I like on play searchers more than on attack searchers, but if you're able to keep him safe, then do it multiple times. I think that's quite nice. Yeah, the added benefit of being able to use this multiple times, depending on how important it is to see more cards, I think is like the best thing you could do. But I would imagine cards like this get KO'd quite quickly since they have such a added benefit to being in play. Good card though, I like it. I just don't know where it's going yet. Moving on to Giolla. Purple character, 2 cost, 2k power, Don Quixote Pirates, 2k counter. On opponent's attack, once per turn, you may rest 2 of your Dawn, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or lower. That's a very green style effect, in my opinion. Being able to affect your opponent's side of the board is something that green does quite often. I think this being a 2k counter and having, I feel like, a pretty darn good effect. Either gets it killed immediately before your opponent attacks so that you can't snipe down and rest a character that hasn't attacked, is really likely. So I think it's a good feint to be able to get your opponent to KO something like this instead of something that you want to keep on the board. And if they don't, it has added value of being able to rest your opponent's characters so that they can attack you. I think it's quite nice with the 2k counter on top of that. Very playable. Really excited for green purple Don Quixote Pirates. Even red purple Don Quixote Pirates with sugar. They are quite exciting. I think the cards are really fun, and I'm looking forward to building something with it. Moving on to Jesus Burgess. Black character, 5 cost, 6k power, Dressrosa, Blackbeard Pirates. Dawn ×1, if you have 8 or more cards in your trash, this character gains Rush. That's pretty easy to do. I feel like that's something that a lot of black decks are already going to try to do, because you want cards in your trash to be able to manipulate your trash and do Moria type stuff. And a 6k rusher is quite nice. It would be 7k because you have to attach a Dawn for it. In game, I feel like that's pretty good for black to have a rush that will show up out of nowhere. Um, and it could work probably pretty nice in the Teach deck, just because I don't think they have Rush right now, and a Rush surprise is always nice in my opinion. Having a few of these in your deck I don't think would be too harmful. Moving on to some alt arts. We got a ton of alt arts this week. I don't know how many of them we've talked about, but we'll push through fairly quickly. I think we talked about this Sanji. If we haven't, it's a 3-cost 3k power Straw Hat Crew Punk Hazard. Gains additional 3,000 power during your turn, and on KO draws a card. That's a really good card in my opinion. 3-cost 6k attacker with no on play, so it does a lot. And then you get to draw a card when it gets KO'd. I really like it. And this alt art is great. Next alt art, Tashigi. I believe we've talked about this card. This is Tashigi in Smoker's Body. And if there's a character that other than Tashigi gets removed from play from your opponent's effect, you can rest this card instead. So it's a kind of like scapegoat style card. I think we've talked about it. It has 2k counter, which is crazy. And a pretty decent alt art showing Smoker with Tashigi's sword. Moving on to our next card. Cavendhis, I believe we've talked about this. If we haven't, Cavendhis, blue character, 4-cost 6k power, Dressrosa, beautiful pirates. When attacking once per turn, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. I love drawing cards. We've already seen that this week once, and I will say it again, this card is nice. I love to be able to draw cards. And it is a pretty decent power, so it's going to be a little bit harder to KO in my opinion. I mean, everything's KOable in some way or another, but getting your opponent to actually extend to KO something so you can't draw cards is nice. I like this Cavendhis quite a bit. Moving on to Kyros. Blue character, 7-cost 9k power, Dressrosa. On play, return a 5 or lower character to its owner's hand. And we get this incredible moment for Kyros in the story. If you notice some strings and hands, you know who he's attacking. Pretty great art. As alt art comes, pretty nice. Moving on to this Rebecca. Rebecca, blue character, 7-cost 4k power, Dressrosa, 1k counter. On play, this is a lot. If there is a cost 8 or greater character in play, draw 1 card. Nice. Then reveal up to 2 cost 7 or lower Dressrosa type characters other than Rebecca from your hand. Play one of them as active, then if the other has a cost of 4 or lower, play it rested. That's insane. I don't know if we talked about it, but that is an insane card. It has so much that it does, and all you need to do is have an 8 cost on board when you play it, and you get to draw a card and play 2 characters. That's wild. It does get KO'd really easily with 4,000 power, but who cares? You got a 7 cost and a 4 cost on board for the cost of 7. So that's what, 21 cost plus a card in hand. It's wild, and it got a absolutely gorgeous alt art with the sunflowers that are from Dressrosa. Moving on to this Doflamingo alt art. I believe we talked about this Doflamingo. 8 cost 9k power, 7 warlords Don Quixote pirates. On play, Don -1, play up to 1 5 cost or lower Don Quixote pirate type character card from your hand. Also, on opponent's attack, you may rest 1 Don, add up to 1 active Don from your Don deck. So it ramps. I believe we talked about this card already. Another alt art for Doflamingo, fan favorite, so I know it would happen. I knew it would happen, and as creepy and sinister as always. Moving on to his brother here, Rosinante. We talked about this card last week. I believe it was last week. Absolutely great card on play. trash an event, draw 2 cards, end of your turn. If you have 7 or more Dons, set up to 2 of them as active. Opens up so much possibilities. And we saw earlier with some trash retrieval, event trash retrieval. So this card should always have a card in your hand to be able to use when on play to draw 2 cards with just having to get rid of 1 event beforehand as cost. Love this card, really excited for it. Another card that we've talked about, this is the secret Luffy, Gear 4. We've talked about him already. And it gets an alt art. Secrets get alt arts pretty often, so this is quite a gorgeous Gear 4, and I believe it is the art from the pack. I could be mistaken. I'm not going to talk about it because we got something else to talk about here. We got the Trafalgar Law secret alt art, and both of these look really familiar to me. I think they both look like Oda art, so I'm wondering how that's going to play into our manga options. Both of them could be manga, or just one of them. I will reveal one of them by the end of the episode. I just not sure if the other one's also going to get one. Moving on to our special rares. This is starter deck 15 Whitebeard, and if you haven't seen this card in full res, go check it out. There's so many characters on this card, and I love seeing Whitebeard with his family. Absolutely incredible alt art for this SP. Moving on to the next one, a pudding. Starter deck 12 pudding. Very cute with all her sweets around her. Very nice alt art. Moving on to Uruj. This is OP10 Uruj, and in the opposite of our Whitebeard SP, I don't know who any of these characters are around him. Interesting SP overall, considering all the other ones I feel like are quite nice. The art is, as always, incredible. Moving on to Sanji from starter deck 14. Great backstory for Sanji. I love this for him. And a just, again, gorgeous art for Sanji. And I can't remember the name of the island that he goes to. Anyways, great art. Love it. Moving on to EBO 156 Flambe, walking up on her big bro, trying to give him his hugs. Again, another, I think that's Oven too. Another incredible art. Really happy with the art for these SPs. And then we have starter deck 18 Usohachi. Again, just the best art. The best art for these SPs this set. I really, really, really like the portrait style that they're doing for these, and they all came out really nice. Yeah, really excited about these. Now, for the moment that I teased out just moments ago, we got one manga. Will we get another one? Who knows, but we definitely got this one. It's a Law manga. I do hope we don't get another Luffy, and I'm really happy that this is Law. Just looking at the background stuff to seeing what got included, and there's definitely some panels that I can't tell are happening on the right hand side, but Law got his manga. I guess he technically has, this is his second because OP10 I think has the purple Law manga. What do you guys think about Law getting his manga rare in this set? Do you think that Luffy is also going to get one because the style of the art looks very Oda-like? This was a big episode. Thank you for hanging in there. If you liked this video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to get more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe. And until next time, peace.